Hi, my name is Marc Ehrler. I'm the VP Culinary for the Americas for Hilton. I'm gonna actually cook something that I had the pleasure to grow up with in Provence or on the French Riviera, which is octopus. And octopus to me generates an incredible amount of memories. I was a kid, we used to wrap a red piece of fabric on a stick, and then we would go and swim through the rocks and on the Mediterranean, so in the front of Nice, Cannes, Antibes where I'm from. And then the octopus were attracted by the red piece of fabric, and then we would actually catch the octopus. And then I remember my father, who we had to pull the head backwards of the octopus, and then with a stick we used to beat up the octopus to tenderize it. And then of course we cooked it. And my grandmother also, who was also from the area, who actually was really from Italy, but grew up or moved to Antibes, also used to make all type of variation of this dish. And my father would take me to the market right up the street from where the marina is or the bay is, and we would pick up whatever we felt was exciting at the moment. And so it was really the best product that day that the farmers would have brought. So, cooking an octopus, it's definitely a little bit complicated. It can dry out too much, can undercooked, and then it's too tough, or maybe even you kind of break the texture that you really want to into an octopus. And so in very early 80s, I was exposed to sous vide cooking in France when I actually worked with André Daguin and Arnaud Daguin, his son. And so I was exposed to sous vide, and what was amazing is that when we took a product seasoned normally and we put it in a bag, in a pouch, and then cooked it, we realized that it was actually over-seasoned. But the flavors from the original ingredient were extraordinary. We could not achieve such flavor with any pretty much of the other cooking style. And so we had to adjust the seasoning. And then going back to the octopus, what I wanted was the original flavor of the octopus. And the octopus is actually one of the unique ingredients that does not, in my opinion, does not need any seasoning. When you cook it sous vide, and we figure out, it was a little bit of a process, right? Cooking is sous vide, cooking is science. Sous vide is definitely a result of that science and the knowledge. And then we had to discover and find different ways of temperature, time. And so we figured out that sous vide is taking us pretty much twice the amount of time that it would traditionally take us. But I remember, my grandmother would put some of, the friends that we had would put the cork of a bottle of wine into the liquid to cook the octopus because it would tenderize the octopus. Then, we used to beat it up, as I say, with my dad with a stick, and to really tenderize the meat, the raw product, and then cook it. And then we figured out that, freezing the octopus would actually tenderize it. And then finally we came to our senses, I think, when we figured out that sous vide was the way to go. And then without doing anything to the octopus, slowly cooking it, actually, and as I mentioned, it takes twice the amount of time, we get to what I feel is the perfect product. There's no seasoning added, it's just a liquid from the octopus. And the octopus, the integrity of the octopus, the flavor, the texture, and the look and the feel is absolutely perfect, giving us so much flexibility that you can adapt it to any recipe. My grandmother used to take the octopus and cook it in a tomato sauce and really reduce it. And I'm talking cooked in a tomato sauce, almost dried out, so it would caramelize to get really sweet. Leaving the skin on, so it would actually get that intense flavor, very rustic, very homey. And you can actually do this with the octopus cooked sous vide. So, then at that point, you accelerate the cooking process and you can get to a caramelized octopus with the tomato that would take pretty much 4 hours to do on a regular basis. So now in a restaurant you can actually do this. And then of course from octopus chicharrones, by shaving them, you can take this, just shave them, marinate and then cook them, and then you have something that has a texture like nothing else has. So I'm going to take the octopus out of it. So pretty much what I'm doing today is we looked at the market, what we could find, and I also of course was looking for all those ingredients that I have a very sentimental affinity with, from the French Riviera and growing up there, and then some of the accents that we found actually on the market. So garlic, roasted garlic. Garlic to me was a candy. It was like really a candy. You could eat roasted garlic as as a candy because it is sweet, and the flavor to me was really exceptional. Fennel, we would pick up wild fennel pretty much everywhere. And then so what we took is we took the green of the fennel that we made into a puree, and then the bulb of the fennel that we have white. So we're going to play this with, with this for a little bit of the color. The octopus itself, this is actually a Spanish octopus. They are fresh, they are cooked sous vide. And so what's really neat is that we don't have to freeze them to tenderize them. The sous vide is what actually does the job. The liquid in it, I want to keep it, and the reason why also we're not seasoning it, it's because when we experimented with the product, we thought maybe it's going to be too salty if we reduce it. And then to our amazement, when we reduce the liquid, and you see there's nothing added to it. So it's pretty exceptional what you see, right? When you reduce this, you have the Mediterranean in a bowl, and then you can mix it into a sauce. You can do a vinaigrette out of it. And today what we'll do is we just do a vinaigrette out of it, okay? So you see opening the pouch, the aroma, I wish you could smell it. The aroma and the integrity, it's just the Mediterranean and the octopus. And this just transported me when my dad was still alive, when my grandmother would actually cook this, and then we would pick up those octopuses. And those are small, they're super consistent. We have always the same product. They constantly cooked at the same temperature. It's pretty remarkable. So what we'll do is either you can play whatever you want to from this, and what we do is we're going to sear it. And searing it, what we'll do is we're going to dry it for 24 to 48 hours according to what you are looking for as far as flavor. So I have my co-pilot here, Chef Del. How are you? All right, it's good to see you. Great. So we should pull the one that we pulled out 48 hours ago, right? And the octopus itself is pretty dry. You can see that. So why do we dry it? Because we want to char it. So when I started working in restaurant, we would actually peel the octopus and only have the white of the meat. That's what we used to serve. We didn't want to leave the skin on it. But my grandmother would, leave it a little more rustic, and according to whatever she wanted to do, we would actually peel it. And then I think today, pretty much everywhere you see octopus, which I think you can see octopus pretty much anywhere on any menus, we wanted to leave it with the skin on. I think it's got that unique personality. And then now, of course, you can peel the skin, and if you peel the skin, then obviously you're going to make it maybe a little bit fancier to some extent. And then I don't know, I have this picture of peeling the skin and have a little white piece of octopus and put a little caviar on it, and just, and that's it. That would be happiness as a snack, right? So here we're going to put a little bit of the olive oil. So the olive oil that we found, olive oil from France, pretty much everybody drinks it in France, so we barely can find some good olive oil here. But even though my sister still makes her own olive oil and picks her own olives as we grew up. But this is a Sicilian olive oil. It's actually very fruity. It doesn't have too much acidity, and then you can smell, the olive trees and the amount of rain they had that year, right?
Super nice. That's one of my favorites.
Right, it's a beautiful olive oil. So what we'll do is, and I don't want to waste it. Olive oil like this, it's also really a seasoning, right? Olive oil like this, it's not a It's not a frying oil or not, not something that you put in a deep fryer. But it is something that, that you use as a seasoning. Thank you. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper on it, just because I like also the flavor of the pepper that has been roasted as well, right? So, I don't want to have too much smoke either, so I'm going to start pretty slowly. And I'm not super familiar with this little grill here. So what's important, because of the skin, if we don't sear and really char the octopus, the skin is too gelatinous and that's one of the reasons why we used to take the skin off. Gives this really weird texture to the octopus. So if you're not going to sear it or char it, take the skin off. And if you're going to leave the skin on, you definitely want to sear it or char the octopus. And then what it gives you this amazing texture. And it's got a little crunch to it. And then, of course, I think our mind is the only limitation. And you can, cut it, leave it whole. I mean, I like to leave the tentacles whole, so it really speaks for who the octopus is. And we know now that the octopus is a very intelligent animal. And I really have a lot of respect, I have to say, for the octopus. And I want to do it, justice. So you have the little suction cup here that, you also want to have a little bit of a texture. And I think we are getting, so it's really hot. I mean, the temperature of the octopus was pretty much room temperature as we started. It's dried out. And so it's cooking actually very quickly. And you can see that in a restaurant. So if you have one restaurant, multiple restaurants, and if you train your cook properly, it's actually pretty easy to handle. And I mean, you can see how beautiful, it's got that reddish color. It's got a little bit of a crunch. It definitely has a sear, which you can smell the flavor or the aroma of the octopus has already changed. It's definitely a lot more rustic at this point. So now I have the octopus who's pretty charred. It's got this reddish color, very deep.
Beautiful. You can see the crust, chef. It's fantastic.
Right? I mean, the smell. I mean, I wish you could get the smell of the Spanish octopus cooked sous vide. I think it's pretty exceptional. So that octopus, it is so consistent, so perfectly tender, but still with the right texture inside, and the outside has a crunch. So you get to something pretty exceptional. So what I want to do is, we're going to keep the juice also from the octopus, and as I said, I want to put it into the vinaigrette, and it's just, lemon juice and olive oil. So obviously you want a very fruity olive oil for that dish especially. I have another olive oil here also that's organic, but I just tasted them, and I don't know if it's my mood right now. I like that. I think olive oil. You need to have an olive oil collection, okay, in your kitchen, and I don't know. Maybe we can toss it in a bowl or something. And then, I think the mood of the moment is what determines which olive oil I want to use or I'm going to use. So this is pretty much parsley, garlic, olive oil, just a little bit of olive oil. We just want to give it, dress it a little bit, not change the flavor. We just want to enhance the dish itself. And to me, cooking is really pretty much three main ingredients, and anything else above those three main ingredients, it's like a movie or a theater piece, right? You have the main cast, and then you have the support cast. So those other ingredients, in addition to the three main ingredients, are just help to enhance the flavor, okay? So in that case, it's going to be the fennel, the octopus, and I think so that's what we found at the market this morning, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, nice and crisp, beautiful escarole. So still young and tender, not going to have a lot of the fibrous leaves, and you can see just This is one of my favorite winter greens.
So it's a winter green escarole found in the market. What we'll do is we're going to keep it as rustic as the rest of the dish, right? So we're just going to cut it in half. Okay, take a little bit of this out. There we go. And then we're going to season it a little bit. So there is a way. Thank you, chef. There is a way that I like to, and you can do this with romaine or pretty much any type of salad or Belgian endive or anything like this, right? And it's the cooking at the unilateral, is you generating the heat from one side and pretty much you cook through. Again, in that dish, when you see this, to me, this is black pepper, not white pepper. So black peppercorn. The black peppercorn has this very earthy, flavor. This is a sea salt as well. And then we're going to put this on the grill. And then just to sear it a little bit, okay? Give it a little bit of a temperature, right?
No,
that reminds you of something, right?
This is what I'm looking forward to because Christmas is so soon. Grilled escarole and grilled lemon and a little anchovy and olive oil. It's my childhood.
That's it. I mean, I know that when you pull this, you mentioned something about growing up. So by touching this and by doing this, you just travel in time, and that's the power really that food has. You travel in time, you went back to your childhood,
and honestly, it's very similar to my grandmother. What she would do, she'd go out into the garden, she'd pull them up, she had a sink outside, wash them off, chop them up, and then she would just throw them on her little wood fire grill that she had built. So it's super simple, but it was just always so satisfying.
So the power of cooking, this is how much power a chef has really in a kitchen, right? We have the power to make people travel in time and even spend time with parents that are no longer with us, right? I mean, my grandmother passed away a long time ago, but she certainly stamped, my mind. My father passed away, sadly, also a long time ago. But the aromas, the flavor, the techniques to some extent, just they are here, they're very present. They are right next to me, and I don't want to mess it up because they're watching me. They stamp my mind and my soul, and that's really what we have.
So fantastic, Chef. I'm gonna carve these up for you.
So yeah, so chunk of it. So we have the texture. So it's warm, so it's hot, warm, room temperature, crispy, soft. So you have all textures and all temperatures in one, little green, escarole. That's it. So.
And it's one of those things too that everyone. I hear a lot of complaints about like bitterness in escarole. It's like try high heat. Try that super high heat. You bring out those sugars that are really from the winter plants. It's amazing.
True. And you want different texture. You want different flavors. You want a little bit of a bitterness. Yeah. Let's look at this too. So we also took the fennel and then we marinated it, but the way we marinated it, we did it actually also by putting it sous vide. So we have the fennel, we put a little bit of vinegar, so we kind of have an escabeche of fennel. And what's nice about this fennel, so you have a really clean olive oil flavor, you have the clean fennel, you have
just the little pepper from that marjoram too. It's right nice little touch.
And you have the acidity also that just gives it a little bit of an accent, right?
Yeah. And I think it's a really refreshing thing too. You get that crunch, you get sweet, you get sour, you get a little earthy, you get a little herbaceous.
I mean, to me, there's nothing more than this is Provence in a plate, right? So, okay. So we have a little bit of also. This is that's a little bit of the vinegar, right? So we're gonna put a little bit, just a tiny bit, just to give it, a little bit of a fresh accent.
Okay, the tweezers right there.
The tweezers are here. And we are going to start the plate, I guess, right?
We've got our purees, we've got our sea beans. So I think one of the other really nice things, we were able to use a lot of that same sweet vinegar to give our sea beans both a little bit of a texture.
So I was stuck in Provence, so I had the garlic, the fennel, all that stuff. But we also have some friends around, and we found some pretty cool sea beans actually also here in at the market, the local market. It's pretty cool. So the sea beans, which they grow by the water, but on the other side, and we actually clean them and then cook them briefly. But what we did is we blanched them, and then we did a minute marinade pretty much.
They're so delicate. I mean, it's just a little quick drop and then a little nice seasoning with the vinegar. And honestly, the natural salinity that they get from the ocean, you don't even need to add anything else.
That's it. And this is actually a really good point, right? When you look at all the ingredients, we didn't mess with them. We want to do them right, and we want to do them justice and just serve them. I mean, that's, I think, the job of a chef, of a cook. It's to really take a great ingredient and enhance them and share those stories or memories, but the integrity of the ingredients in a plate. And when I say that, the three main ingredients is 1, 2, 3. That's it. So and then you have the little accents, right? The fun. Okay. So while we start, I guess we're gonna start with. I don't know if we should start with the white. I guess the white puree, right?
I was thinking, I think we could put it a little bit right here, Chef. And
you have a vision.
I got a little bit of one.
I see you have a vision. Okay, so let's do.
I was just thinking, both a little bit of rusticity and simplicity, and then just the sophistication that is brought with that. You get to have the old and the new all at once. So I just want a little bit of touch.
And then we're gonna put a little bit of.
So then we've got our escarole.
The escarole.
And we can season it quickly with the lemon emulsion.
The lemon emulsion. Oh, yes. Okay. So lemon, olive oil, and then what we do is we add a little bit of the juice, or we already did a little bit of the juice of the octopus.
Yes. Right. We'll be able to provide those recipes to everyone. And yeah, it's just an accent. It sounds insane, but the brininess from the octopus, that natural juice, really does help bring out a lot of those flavors that we want. I'm just gonna give you a little toss, make sure I seasoned everybody.
See how beautiful the color is, right? And then like if the octopus is so crispy, crunchy, but so tender inside. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Okay.
So I think, would you like to keep the octopus whole, or do you want me to give you a couple slices, Chef?
Well, I think we should, do a little variety, right? So we should have a couple whole like this, and then cut a few pieces, so you actually are able to see also the white, right? Beauty. So a little combination of that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna switch spaces with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna just have our finished dish here, and I'll carve that up for you.
Fantastic. Okay, are we switching places? Or are we good? Okay. Okay, so
we
this.
Can do either.
Yeah.
This is the fun of family cooking.
So if you see, and I have like different sizes, right? So you see it's super tender, but how white the octopus is. So now you have super cool texture, you have little pieces, and then you have the integrity, or and this is, pretty much the octopus is speaking to us, right? Pretty much right now, and I think that's going to be enough.
And I'm going to come right back to you.
Okay.
So we've got our beautiful escarole, we've got our beautiful octopus, our puree.
So we're going to put a couple of escarole a little bit around. I'm going to try to bring, when you plate, you want to play with some of the colors. I have a little bit of green. I want to bring a little bit of the green next to, the white, not put too much of it, but enough that,
I mean, your grandmother would always tell you to eat your greens. That was all. She would just be screaming and hit, Dolly, Dolly, where are you?
And you want to have the right ratio of escarole to octopus, right? You don't want to be done with the octopus and then wonder, I want more of this, and you can find it. So that should be good enough, right? After this,
Looks absolutely beautiful, Chef. So
it's it's pretty amazing, right? I mean, as simple can you be, right?
But that's the best things.
Yeah, that's it.
We've got our escabeche, and then we have both the fennel puree and a squeeze bottle for you, chef, or we can do a little bit more rustic.
Yeah, I guess we should, because of all the ingredients and the toys, I guess, that we have, we can, we can give the Escarole a little bit of those accents of, and then I want to put also some on the top of it, even though we have some citrus that we're going to play with. So now when you're going to eat all this, you're going to have those flavors combined, right? So a couple of, different, shapes, textures, the colors, and and then the next one.
We get to we can now add that sweet, sour, salty from the beans. We can add the refreshing crisp from the sea beans. Yeah, there's so many fun textures.
So those were really pickled at the moment, right? I mean, just a couple of hours in a pickling liquid.
Yeah, we don't want to overpower them. I mean, this is the fun thing, right? So from those farmer market items, they're so fresh this morning, and we utilized every piece to it. We didn't have to, we didn't have to add more components. We made the beautiful puree with the bulbs. We've got our green with the tops. We've got, we're getting we've got our escabeche. It's already 3 different ways from one plant, and we've got and it complements the octopus so nice.
It's like little play on with the seasoning, right? I mean, one thing that definitely I want to have, because that was my, a couple of confit garlic. I mean, I think those are the little surprises, right? And kind of like a Japanese garden a little bit, where 1, 2, 3, but I'm not going to put them like this. I'm going to put it over here. So that should be good.
Some nice rustic bread when you're smeared on.
Yeah. And we need to light up the charcoal or whatever.
Well, I mean, they'll finish filming. You and I can go hang out.
Yeah. Okay, so we need the citrus. We had a little bit of a citrus that we have. Okay, here we go. And then the dinner we have a couple of candied, candied oranges. So it's the end of the year. It's the holidays. Oranges used to be the gift for Christmas for children, and so we thought that we should definitely have a couple of those. So.
So here we just actually used the same candied orange peel, and we just kind of blitzed it into a little puree, so you have those tiny little touches of a sweet accent. And then we shaved the candied rind as well, so you get a little bit of the white and the orange for color, contrast, and it's going to be nice and silky.
So this is just to give a little bit of an accent. So as you eat it, you have a little bit of a surprise, right? I mean, I love to have, I used to gelatinize balsamic vinegar 30 years ago and make little cubes of it. And instead of making a vinaigrette with all this mixed in it, I would put the cubes of balsamic. So the dressing was not, tossing and dressing everything, but you would eat it and then you would have an element of surprise, right?
Yeah, those are the things I think, and even if it's a home cook or dining experience, we always like having those little elements.
So this you have, again, another crunch, so another texture. And, we didn't want to have too much color there, because really the element is that we want to play with, or that we really want to honor, is the octopus, right? So you get a couple of, and you don't want to put too much of it. You want just the element of surprises. That's it.
And those are so thin, and it just will melt away. And that orange will also complement your fennel. And the sea beans. We've got sweet, we've got salty.
And I think I'm going to finish it with a little bit of the raw fresh fennel, so you have
tops,
all right.
We peeled and diced. Yeah, I love it.
And that's just the way it was made, right? That's it. This is the green of the fennel that we blanched and puree, and so from the bulb to this, you have all those variations of the it's like a different geometry in the fennel, right? In one plant. So we're going to put just a couple of you know, dots here and there. And then pretty much we are going to be done with that dish, you know, and you don't want to overdo it. You know, like all the artists would say, you know, when you're done, take out the last ingredient that you put in. So I'm not going to put the last ingredient because it would be too much, right? And then, you know, a little bit of the fennel. And again, you know, I don't want to have too much of it, but I want to have that little crunch. That's, you know, again, as a surprise. And it's, again, the integrity of the dish and nothing else. The last thing which to me is really important, and I remember my dad was always really passionate about it. You know, and when I look at the dish now, I think I need to put a little bit more of the puree because of the ratio that I found was a little bit missing. And I think, you know, at the end of it, so a little bit of the olive oil. So it's the same olive oil. We put a little bit of lemon juice in it, and just to give, again, you know, a little bit of the accent to the octopus and the dish. So it's a very fruity olive oil with a little bit of lemon, and just for the acidity, and with the juice of the octopus. And the last thing, before it goes away, I mean, you have the right amount of salt, by the way. It's just a little bit of black peppercorn, that's it. And nothing else than that. And I think we should be having a pretty good time eating.
We should be by the beach
right?
in Nice.
Yeah, or, you know, Antibes, Juan-les-Pins, or the Cap d'Antibes, you know, looking at the, you know, looking at the sun, the wave, the water, and then, you know, knowing that you just were in the water with your stick, your red piece of fabric, and then you got the octopus, and there it is, you know, on a charcoal or, you know, on a plancha, and this is happiness in a plate, right? And all this is possible because, you know, as fast as we went and as efficiently and as perfectly consistent, because at the end of the day, when you have so many cooks, you want to have, you know, the difference between a chef and a cook, to me, a chef is somebody who can train a group of people to cook the way they would cook without them touching the dish. And that's, to me, the definition of a chef. A cook cooks. When we cook, we were cooks. Then as a chef, you need to have a group of people cooking the way you would, but not always, you know, with the luxury or the pleasure to actually touch the dish. So the training of the cooks, but this allows us, Sous Vide is allowing us to have a consistent product 100% of the time, and, you know, texture, temperature, etc., and also to be so much more faster, so much more efficient in putting those dishes. I spoke a lot. I didn't let you speak too much, but that dish, you can put it in what, 4 minutes, you know, 3 minutes, you know, and then this is really truly with the miracle of Sous Vide. So science, and then of course, you know, I can't. You know, somebody brought us the science of Sous Vide, you know, and I'm thinking of Dr. Bruno Gousseau, my good friend, and who's educated us. You know, in the early 80s, when I was exposed to Sous Vide, we had no idea what we were doing. But the reason why it's still here today, it's because of what we got out of it. And Sous Vide allowed us to have exceptional flavor aromas. I remember we used to make this foie gras terrine with André Daguin, Arnaud Daguin, and then we used to have confit garlic in it. And then the first time that we made it, you could not even eat it because it was so powerful. And so we had to lower, from the original recipe, we had to lower the amount of ingredient in order to actually, and we were able to get perfect products. So since then, early 80s, that certainly shows my age, we've learned so much, and you know, now actually we can measure time, temperature, and get absolutely an extraordinary precision. And we actually even out of it learned to use thermometers because I wasn't very good at it. And you know, and now because of this, we can get something that's pretty exceptional. So, Chef.
I'm excited to. This looks fantastic. I'm eyeing it. But yeah, I think to your point, right? We have science backing it up, and it's the love that we chefs put into the dish. You have the old and the new together. And we're ready for 2022.
You know, bon appétit, I guess, and enjoy.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. Thank you for, you know, that sense of community that brings us to the kitchen, the plate, you know, the smile. I mean, that's the power of food again, you know, the smile on your face, you know, it's what makes me, after all those years, do things like this, just those moments and that sense of community where we come together and enjoy a great meal around.
And yeah, exactly. Cooking what you love with the people you love, Chef.
Yeah, thank you
so
very much. Thank you. Enjoy. Have fun.